Good morning and welcome to Newsfirst Prime Time Sunrise.
A very good morning to you. Today is the 29th of April 2015. You're with Newsfirst. This is Prime Time Sunrise. Before we go into the stories in detail, let's take a look at the headlines. 19th Amendment to the Constitution passed in Parliament. President hails the passing of the bill as a victory of the people. Nepal announces a 3-day mourning period while earthquake death toll rises to 4,600. A group of Sri Lankans who are in Nepal returns to the island. Yet another group of army personnel leave for Nepal with aid for the affected. Those stories in detail. The 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which includes the reduction of powers vested with the executive presidency, was passed with a majority in Parliament yesterday. The final reading of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which was passed with 212 votes. UPFA MP Sarath Weerasekara voted against. Independent parliamentarian Ajit Kumara abstained from voting, while 8 members were absent. Following the vote, the House was adjourned for 15 minutes following a request made by MP Dinesh Gunawardena for copies of all committee stage amendments. A tense situation arose when the MP made this request.
විපක්ෂව 1යි. ඡන්දය නොදුන් 1යි. නොපැමිණි 10යි. තුන්වෙනි කියවීම සම්මතයි.
Many debates took place in the House yesterday, while some members expressed their vehement objections to the bill. However, during the committee stage, MPs were able to cast their vote in a democratic way. During this stage, MP Tissa Vitharana proposed that the Independent Commission should be responsible to the Parliament. Accordingly, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe announced that this proposal and several other proposals put forward by the opposition will be adopted. However, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was passed in Parliament at around 11:20 last night. With this, the 18th Amendment to the Constitution was annulled. Meanwhile, President Maithripala Sirisena has hailed the passage of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution with a 2/3 majority in Parliament as a historic victory for the Sri Lankan people.
Issuing a statement, the President's media division said President Sirisena expresses his gratitude to the influence groups, the Mahasangha, religious leaders, active citizens, civil society and all political parties and parliamentarians who used their vote to ensure this victory. He added that the ability to fulfill this task constitutionally in compliance with the determination of the Supreme Court and with the support of all political parties is a giant step taken on behalf of democracy in the country. The President concluded that the victory achieved today is a victory not only for the citizens of today, but also for the children yet to be born.
President Maithripala Sirisena pledged to let go of executive powers even before the presidential election. Let's take a look back at the President's journey towards the passage of the 19th Amendment, fulfilling the promise.
Initiating a revolution in Sri Lankan politics, Maithripala Sirisena, one of the senior most ministers in the UPFA government and General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, entered the presidential race as the common candidate. At the first media briefing convened in Colombo as the common candidate, he made a pledge to the nation.
I request the beloved people of this country to entrust the power to me, to abolish the executive presidency which has destroyed fairness, justice, law, ethics, democracy and freedom within 100 days.
On the campaign stage too, Maithripala Sirisena reiterated the promise to abolish the limitless powers of the executive presidency.
I must state to you clearly that I will work towards abolishing the executive presidential system within 100 days without even stepping foot inside the President's house.
Presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena unveiled his election manifesto including this promise. securing the support of Parliament to abolish the executive presidential system and establishing an executive that is accountable to Parliament via the Cabinet of Ministers, creating a new government structure was a primary factor of this manifesto. In the manifesto, he pledged to enact amendments to the constitution that can be passed without a referendum. Maithripala Sirisena received 6,217,162 votes and was elected President of Sri Lanka with a majority of 449,072 votes. In his initial address at Independence Square after taking oaths as the 6th Executive President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, Maithripala Sirisena reiterated that he would fulfill the promise made to the people.
We will ensure, as mentioned in our policy manifesto, that we will implement the much required social, economic and political transformation in the country in a span of 100 days. It also must be noted that just as the people of this country elected me into this position, I need to state that I do not hope to contest for another term. We will take the responsibility to assure the people of this country that freedom, democracy and rule of law be established for the sake of the people today and the children of tomorrow.
Fulfilling the promise made to the people, the draft of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was placed before public representatives. When the bill was perused by the Supreme Court, it was determined that clauses which confer powers of the Executive President on the Prime Minister must be adopted with a referendum. Respecting the determination of the Supreme Court, the President introduced provisions in the 19th Amendment which would curtail powers of the Executive President which do not require a referendum. Although leaders have pledged on several prior occasions to let go of powers vested in the Executive Presidency upon being elected to power, they had shown a lack of enthusiasm towards fulfilling the promise. Although the 13th and 17th Amendments did curtail executive powers somewhat, the most significant change have been made through the 19th Amendment. Among leaders who attempt at every turn to consolidate their power and protect their position, doesn't President Maithripala Sirisena stand out because of his steadfast resolve to sacrifice both power and position for the people?
Meanwhile, a group of Sri Lankans returned to the island yesterday.
After the incident occurred, the hotel told us that there was no problem and for us to return. We were on the 4th floor at the time. It is there that I called the embassy and told them that the room that we were staying in was in shambles and all the windows have been shattered. Even the ceilings were damaged. We told them that we cannot stay there. Then the embassy told us not to stay there and go back outside. I hope that I will never have to face such a situation ever again. The ground was still shaking even when we left Sri Lanka. Our Air Force helped us immensely. They always kept us updated on the condition of the flight and told us not to be afraid. They told us that they would take us back to Sri Lanka as quickly as possible. I thank every single one of them. We were all outside. We did not understand what was happening as a result of the shock. We have never experienced an earthquake before. We were all afraid. A number of children were wounded. We came back to the island because of the help of many people as well as from the assistance rendered by the army. We are grateful to them.
It is because with the experiences that we have had and the confidence we have had with our skills, we were able to bring them back. Our airplanes have never travelled to Kathmandu airport, but we were confident that we would be able to conduct this mission successfully. When the government approached us for assistance, we readily agreed because we knew that we would be able to do this. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Army says that another deployment of soldiers are due to leave to Kathmandu today to assist in the relief program. Acting Army spokesperson Brigadier Jainath Jayavira stated that the soldiers will depart to Kathmandu in a Sri Lankan Airlines flight.
At 8:30 Sri Lankan
At 8:30 am today, a Sri Lanka Airlines flight will carry a deployment of soldiers to Kathmandu to assist the people of Nepal that were devastated by the earthquake. The deployment includes 13 Navy personnel, 89 Army personnel and 7 doctors. The flight will also carry 15,000 kilograms of medical equipment, water and food items. Sathasa has provided 20,000 kilograms of dye rations. That too will be taken to Kathmandu via this flight. And finally, in local news, the farmers of Hinguragoda and Madirigiriya in the Polonnaruwa district are facing a number of hardships as they have not received the money for the stocks of paddy they have already sold. The farmers point out that they are facing hardships as they are unable to sell the paddy that they collected over a few months at a proper price. They add that they are yet to receive the money for the stocks that have already been sold. The collecting centre for paddy in the area has also been shut down. With that, we wrap up this edition of News First Prime Time Sunrise. Your next news update comes your way at 8:55. For everyone here at News First, I'm Chaturanga Hapuarati. Have a productive day ahead.
Hotline 0114 896 896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.